Welcome to Mark's Tasty Tom. I have a beautiful silverside whole roast here, top round, bottom round for the Americans. This is going to be a how-to on preparing your silverside and slicing it for biltong, which is a South African delicacy. Air-dried beef, spiced and marinated overnight and hung in the morning. To start with, we're going to trim off the very soft, fatty skin off the top. Now, obviously, you can trim as little or as much of this off your roast as you like. If you don't like fatty beef, if you're on a bit of a health diet, or you just don't like the taste of fat, by all means cut it off. I am going to trim most of this off because I do need lean for my customers. And quite often, if I get several roasts, I will trim one or two of them a bit more than the others, so to speak. Now, while the bottom round is attached, so to speak, which is this bit here, it's two muscles. It's actually three muscles. You can almost see my blade underneath the skin. I'm really going that thin, taking that very thin layer off the top. You can be as fast or as slow as you like. I've done this a few times, so I can go a bit quicker, but I'm just going to go slow so that you can see. For those that have learnt or are learning, they want to see exactly what you're doing. Now, you can see now it's not just two muscles. Now I've taken that top layer off, you can see you've got one big main muscle here, you've got another there and that one there. I don't know what this muscle is called. If you do know, tell me. Let me know in the comments. This video will not only go on to my normal biltong page, it will go onto YouTube, so that I might be able to teach somebody. You know, if I'm helping one person, then great. You're very welcome to join my biltong page on Facebook. Search for Mark's Tasty Biltong, or subscribe to this channel on YouTube and get updates and watch any new videos I do upload. I've done a couple of how-tos before. I'm being quite pedantic with the fat, like I said. I've got people that want lean. I'm preparing this for those such customers. Now, when we turn it over, yes, you think automatically that is a mess. You know what? Once it's trimmed up, you won't even see it. So once again, we're going in just underneath the very thin fat, and we are trimming off all that soft fat. Please excuse the music in the background. I've instructed Alexa to play some royalty-free music in the hope that it is not blocked. I've had videos that have been blocked before, audio blocks. Now, if you're doing this for the first time, take your time. make sure your meat is really cold. My fridge at the moment is sitting at 2 degrees, which is great. And if you are in a hotter climate and you can't get your fridge that low, pop it in the freezer for a couple of hours. Now this particular roast, I don't know what that is. If you know what that is, tell me. Is it bone? It's like gristle. That's really bizarre. I've not had that before on a roast. There's even a bit of a clear, I don't know if that's some kind of injury that this animal endured, but that certainly isn't going to I'm going to bring this in closer so that you can see. If you know what that is, please tell me. I have no idea. I've cut up hundreds of roasts and I've never seen that. Hundreds. Now, I am cutting towards myself a little bit there. What you should really do, see this, where I cut that piece out, it needs a bit more cut out there. I don't know what that was, whether it's some kind of growth. Maybe this animal had some health issues. If it doesn't look right and it doesn't look normal, cut it out. You do not want to compromise your meat. While it's on its side here, you can simply run your blade between the two muscles. See, on a venison carcass, you would be able to do this with your fingers. But with beef, it's just a little bit more tough. This is a tough cut. It's a cheap cut of meat. And see here, we've got some congealed blood and a bit of sinew there. We cut that off straight away. You don't want old blood. For those that are watching from the States, you would do the same thing if you are making beef jerky. I don't condone it. Not condone it, but hey, each to their own, hey? If you want to have jerky, then have jerky. This really would be the same process, and you'd be using the same cut of meat. I don't know the full process of making jerky. I make biltong, South African air-dried beef, spiced, marinated overnight and hung to dry till desired consistency. Some people like it wet, some people like it dry, some people like it fatty, some people like it lean. I'm just trimming this inside bit here, all this little bits of fat. Like I said, I'm after a very lean joint here, so I'm getting as much fat off as I possibly can. Always be very careful with your knife. You will also notice I am using a very thin flexible blade. This is a fish filleting knife as it goes, and it works great for me. Now, I tend to cut these silversides off and I dry them separately. They're only good for dog chews. You can't even put that into your sausage mix. That will just clog up your machine. Now, I am going to be pedantic and I'm taking off every little bit I can find. You can leave little or as much as you like on this roast. Now I'm going to turn her over. You can clearly see I've still got a strip of fat there. That will go into my fatty biltong. Can't get it all out. Going to be as careful as I can and get as much of it off as I can. Now, thickness, I've swapped blades. I've gone from my filleting knife to a Jean-Patrick 12-inch carving knife or meat knife, slicing knife. I don't know what they actually called it on the website. One of my best buys off Amazon. No, they don't sponsor me, but I do love Amazon. I would love them to sponsor me. Now, you can go as thin or as thick as you like. The thinner you go, the drier your biltong will be. I, fortunately, have been doing this long enough that I really need to vary the thickness of my slices. I have customers that like it thin and dry, and others that like it thick and fat. Thick and wet, should I say. So, this is our top round, of course. We didn't say that. There is a lot of controversy over whether you have to cut with the grain or against the grain. Here you can see the grain is running this way. I'm almost cutting across it now. But I would have very, very short pieces if I was to cut it that way. So I'm cutting the length of my roast to give me the longest pieces. And what happens then, even that end piece, look, that will still go in. That when you slice it, you're slicing then with the grain, but you're slicing it so thin that it becomes really chewable and really tasty. Beautiful, lean British beef. Now, all you need to do is go back on yourself after you've sliced and just separate all those pieces. You can clearly see that this is very, very lean. There's a little bit of fat in the veins, but a very, very small percentage. Let's continue with the big knife. I'm just going to be a little bit pedantic now and take off the tiniest slivers. Of fat, because I want this to be extremely lean. So turn your roast. This is your bottom round now. Find the broadest part of the roast and lay it down. You can now see that we have on this particular roast now, the bottom round, the grain is now running along the length. And we are now cutting with the grain. Steady. Once you get about halfway, you can stop. Separate those few pieces that goes into my lean box container. And now let's try and line this up with the camera, shall we? So it's nice and straight. Don't know if it is. So we want to straighten this up, take off the edges, still make nice biltong. Now this will be reasonably dry, so I'm only going between 10 and 12 mils thick. Not even ½ inch, really. Sharp knife is imperative when you are slicing. It allows you to go through and make nice even cuts. Always double check that you've gone through all the way by just doubling back on yourself. And there you have it. One complete silverside, sliced and ready to be spiced. That will be a whole separate video. Like the video, subscribe, invite your friends, share the video. By all means, if you have any advice to give me, by all means, I am open to any suggestions that might make my life easier. And remember that we really need to try and identify this. It's not bone. It does feel as hard as bone. But I really couldn't use that. I do not know what that is, whether it is part of the anatomy. It's hard. It does feel like bone, and that may well be the inside of a bone actually. It does feel hard, but can't use that. And remember, anything that doesn't look healthy or any good, cut it off. Anyway, tune in again next time. From Mark. Cheers.